guys, I've been really far behind on my DVDs and Blu-ray updates and things like that, so I might as well do something. Honestly, most of this stuff is going back almost to Christmas. I did an update around January, but I had some more gift certificates left over from Christmas, so there's some of that. And then I had a birthday in the middle, and some of them are gifts for my birthday. There's just a whole bunch of stuff, but I thought, you know, honestly, I've got to do it. I'm just so far behind. So I tried to keep everything in a pile, and I'm trying to include everything from like roughly maybe the last 3 months. It's pretty far back, but I'll try to go as fast as I can, you know. But first, I was just going to do mostly my Blu-rays, and then I'll do my DVDs towards the end. You guys always seem to enjoy the Blu-rays first. First one is The Walking Dead Blu-ray, the TV series. Really enjoyed this TV series, and then on Blu-ray it looked amazing. So not much else you can probably say about that. A lot of people have probably been showing this and have seen this, but if you haven't watched the show, you're a fan of zombie movies, this is probably the best attempt to take really good zombie movies and turn them into a TV show. So The Walking Dead from AMC. Next we'll talk about is Black Swan. There's probably not much you can say about this one either. Probably a lot of people are seeing this, but I just recently watched this on Blu-ray, and I'd seen it at the theater, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, this is a great movie. Maybe not for everybody. I think a lot of people went into it expecting a lot, but it's got some elements of horror and psychological thriller kind of thing, but all in all, I think it's a great movie for you guys that like stuff like that. I got this, which is the Jackass 3D. Thought this was pretty interesting that they did this in 3D, but they did it like the old style 3D. Not really sure why. I haven't actually taken these out. I didn't watch it. The original version of 3D, the ones that have those colored glasses, that kind of gives me a headache, so I'm not a humongous fan of that style of 3D, but I thought Jackass 3D was pretty funny, or Jackass 3, I guess they call it on here. I thought that was a pretty good movie. Funny enough that I enjoyed watching it. A little over the top, but, you know, right in line with the other. This is one that I got recently at Ross, and it's a pretty good deal. I heard Kakalaki Movies was talking about this, I guess is going out of print, and it's Casablanca, or Casablanca, however you want to say it, but $9.99 is what I got this for at Ross. I haven't watched it yet, but I thought that was a good deal, so I went ahead and picked it up. The next one I got, All-Star Superman. I'm a really big fan of these DC animated movies, the DC Universe. They put out one of these maybe every 6 months or so, and I usually try to pick up all of them. I think it looks pretty good on Blu-ray. I used to pick those up on DVD, and I finally just decided to start getting everything like that on Blu-ray. Next one, Social Network. I've had this one for quite a while, probably since like the release date. It's got like this little nifty cover here. I'm a big fan of David Fincher's stuff, so of course I wanted to pick this up. Probably not very typical for David Fincher stuff, but it's really interesting. I think probably the accuracy part of it could be debated, but depending on how accurate this really is, this is it's a pretty astounding movie. But yeah, it's kind of weird how this thing works. It's not really a slipcase, as you can see here. It's more like just a cover, but then this finish, I'm always afraid it's going to get scratched up. It's kind of odd. It's hard to describe. It's like a matte finish, but it's not. I don't know. But I've got this thing, and I just kind of leave it on top. I guess when I file it away, maybe it'll stay on there. This is a movie that probably got dumped on quite a bit. My Soul to Take. I'm not going to say I loved it. I went and saw it at the theater, and I was underwhelmed, but at the same time, I kind of appreciate it for what it is. It tries to be more like a Scream type movie, like an updated version. I don't know, there's something about it that didn't come together quite right. But it's interesting enough. I like some of the visuals in it, and I thought that was kind of neat, but I can't really recommend that one. I'd say it's more of a rental. Try that one out and then see if you like it. The Tourist, I thought this was okay. I don't usually pick up a lot of like movies where, you know, somebody says, oh, you got to get it, it's got Angelina Jolie in it or Johnny Depp or whatever, but I kind of usually like watching some stuff like this every once in a while, but I don't know. It was okay. I just didn't really get into it that much. Maybe that's just my personal taste. It's probably a pretty decent movie for a lot of people. Picked up Fair Game. I actually really like this one. Based on a true story, and it says inspired by true events is the phrase that they use here. From the director of The Bourne Identity. I thought this was a pretty good movie. If you like movies that kind of have to do with modern political history or modern military history, you know, but like some of the things that are so new that they're practically just barely out of the news, this is a pretty good movie for stuff like that. If you're not into those things, you're really not going to get into this very much. And I think it's entertaining. I think if you like current event stuff and you know you follow the news and everything, this has a lot of the inside type stuff that probably didn't make it to the news. But yeah, I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, you probably already know about that. Buried, Ryan Reynolds. This movie here is one of those movies where it's almost exactly what I expected it to be, but at the same time, I don't know. I think it's amazing if you can make a movie this limited in scope. A lot of people will say if you shoot an entire movie inside of a room or you know a studio or whatever, it ends up being very play-like, or you know it's very theatrical in that side of it because it seems like a play where the stage is set for the entire movie. This is actually more confined than that. If you don't know that much about this movie, this entire movie pretty much takes place with him and him alone. Well, he discovers all kinds of events and he discovers things that are located in the box with him, but he's pretty much been buried alive. And then it's a race to the end to figure out if he's going to be safe or what all's going on or why he's there. It's interesting enough. I think it's probably not the most original idea, but at the same time, there's not a lot of movies out like that. It was probably a pretty good gamble to make a movie like that. Next 3 Days, I thought this was pretty good as far as suspense movies go, and I don't know. To me, there's a lot of movies out like this, so I can't just get overwhelmed about it. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I don't know how much replay value this might have. Once you kind of know what happened, you might be able to watch it one more time or 2 times. But it's a pretty good suspense thriller. There's a little bit of action. But yeah, The Next 3 Days with Russell Crowe. This next movie, I don't know, a lot of people probably didn't see this or didn't really get into it, but it's called Monsters. And I believe this might... It's not really a foreign film, and it is. There's quite a bit of English in here, and there's quite a bit of Spanish. But all in all, it goes kind of... I would say it's probably mostly Spanish, but there's a little bit of English in here. But for the most part, this has pretty good special effects for a smaller budget style movie. And there's a lot of interesting history if you go and like Google this or whatever and read where the actors really didn't even know what was going on. They were kind of acting off of the idea that these things are going to be animated later, and they had really no clue. But yeah, this is the way I thought of it is it kind of reminded me if you'd seen something like The Mist, that Frank Darabont did it. If you had a story where whatever came out of The Mist actually really, like those larger things from The Mist, really did just survive out in the wild, and what would happen if they started to take over. It kind of felt a little bit like that. Next movie, Skyline. I really enjoyed this. This is a movie that was made kind of by a lot of special effects people at a kind of a reasonable budget. It wasn't a real high budget considering it seems like a big budget movie, but I like Skyline. I think most people that are probably going to be into it, they're into like alien invasion style movies. They might enjoy it. It's definitely worth a rental, viewing, same way as Monsters. The Fighter. This movie here, I watched it, I think twice within just a couple of days. I really, really liked The Fighter. I think this is one of those movies I didn't really want to watch it first because Christian Bale was just coming off of all the stuff that was going on with him, and I heard this was coming out. And then I finally just said, okay, I'm going to watch it, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think there's a pretty good performance by about everybody in this. If you like movies like Rocky or something like that, this kind of has that appeal, but at the same time, there's a whole bunch of backstory and side story with the brother. The Fighter, all in all, though, is a great movie. I'd probably recommend that one for anybody that's into that style of movie. Unstoppable. It seems like I bought lots of like action-y, random budget movies that I normally don't. I must have been really bored the last few months, but Unstoppable, yeah, this was a pretty decent movie. I think this was like loosely based on a true story or something like that, but yeah, inspired by true events. That must be the new phrase that they use instead of, based on a true story. It's inspired by true events. It's the new catchphrase. But either way, Denzel Washington's pretty good in it, and this is like the first thing I really remember Chris Pine doing since Star Trek or whatever, but all in all, I thought this was a pretty good movie as far as it felt really honest to probably what could have happened. The action is played up during certain scenes, but like there's a few scenes in the middle of it where it gets pretty dangerous, and I could only imagine what it would be like, knowing that's based on a true story, what it would have been to live in one of those towns with that train. Let me show a few movies that I got. I haven't watched all of these. These are movies that I got that I just upgraded the DVD. I, of course, picked up Scream. I'm a big fan of the Scream series. There's Scream 2. I haven't seen this yet. I did watch the first Scream, though. I thought it looked pretty good. Scream 3. Uncle Buck, which is one of my all-time favorites. Honestly, that's one of my all-time favorite movies. Definitely my favorite John Candy film. This is another one of my all-time favorites, is Teen Wolf. And I did see that. That's amazing. I thought that looked really good. They cleaned that up nicely. Paranormal Activity 2, which I think if you like Paranormal Activity 1, this is definitely worth a watch. I liked Paranormal Activity 2, but at the same time, I think coming off of Paranormal Activity 1, I kind of expected, certain things, and then it just was exactly what I expected, so there was no real big surprises. In fact, I felt like the trailer for this movie pretty much ruined it. When I watched the trailer, I knew almost everything that was going to happen. And in the original Paranormal Activity, you're waiting for those moments, and they're slowly building. And then Paranormal Activity 2, all those moments are put in the trailer, and all the build-up that normally makes that worthwhile, the big payoff, they're not there. So, I guess if you had a really bad memory and you saw that trailer and then 4 months later you didn't remember the trailer, that might pay off, but Due Date. This was a really big surprise for me. I didn't know if I'd like this movie or not because this is one of the movies where the trailer didn't look very funny. But Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis are amazing in this. I thought this was hilarious. This is actually one that I watched twice too. Usually, maybe that's just me. It's just kind of random, but if I watch a movie and then within a day or two I have an urge to watch it again, usually that's a big sign to me that I really enjoy it. But yeah, Due Date. I watched Due Date, and like a day or two later I asked my girlfriend and she'd seen it, and she said no, and I said, oh, we got to watch Due Date. And I watched it again. I really enjoyed it the second time around too. So I think that's a pretty good movie. That I've got here, I don't know, you guys are probably not real big into 3D. Some of you are, some of you are not, but I have a few interesting ones this time. Saw 3D. It was really kind of cool to see this in 3D. The movie itself, though, is not too bad. I guess kind of what you expect. I think a lot of the Saw movies probably are big for certain people, and then other people are not big fans of them. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm okay with them. I don't get super excited about them, but at the same time, I like enjoying. I enjoy watching the Saw movies each year. So Saw 3D, I thought that was pretty interesting. And then Piranha 3D. I actually really enjoyed this. I thought this was a funny movie, and at the same time, it was not really scary at all. I don't think it really, at any moment, made me feel like it was a scary movie. But I really enjoyed the 3D aspect of it in a few scenes. But for the most part, it didn't really matter if you watch this in 3D or not, because the comedy is what kind of kept it going. Other than that, that was about it. There's a few like moments in there where the 3D was really bad, though. I was kind of surprised by that. One of the early title sequences, the 3D was really jacked up. So I don't know if that was just my copy or what, but whoever, you know, did the 3D for that somehow screwed up on the Blu-ray. Tron. I can only comment really on Tron Legacy 3D. I did watch that. I did see this at theater. I really wanted to, but I didn't. I haven't watched the Tron Classic version on Blu-ray yet. I really need to. That's probably one of the things I'll watch pretty soon. I really enjoyed the original Tron, and then Tron Legacy, to me, wasn't as groundbreaking, you know, even though Tron Legacy is miles ahead of the original Tron in special effects and things like that, and ideas about computers and technology. But at the same time, the original Tron was mind-blowing, and then Tron Legacy was just interesting. So I'll say that it's not a big letdown or anything, Tron Legacy, but at the same time, I probably had really high hopes, and it was just, you know, it was okay. I liked it all right. I would watch another one. If they made a sequel to Tron Legacy, I would probably watch that. It's good eye candy. I liked the way it looked. It looked amazing. The cast is pretty decent. I'm not a humongous fan of the CG version of Jeff Bridges. That just kind of irked me in a weird way. It bothered me, but you know, okay, I guess for what it is in the computer world.